Ukraine's renewed hope. A strategic outlook with U.S. aid back in play. Washington emphasizes the urgent need for Kyiv to address critical manpower shortages and bolster its defenses to pave the way for potential major offensives in the future. Following the passage of a substantial aid package by Congress, Biden administration officials are optimistic that a long-awaited influx of U.S. weapons will assist Ukraine in blunting Russia's advance in the coming months. However, despite the aid, an acute troop shortage and Moscow's firepower superiority imply that Kyiv may not regain significant offensive momentum until at least 2025. The approval of the foreign aid bill by lawmakers, amid months of partisan deadlock, stands as a triumph for President Biden. The extensive legislation earmarks $61 billion to bolster Ukraine's resistance against Russia's invading forces. As initial shipments of arms, encompassing artillery shells, air defense missiles, and armored vehicles, commence their journey to Ukraine, U.S. officials anticipate that these new weapons will provide a window for Kyiv to replenish its military ranks and fortify battlefield defenses. These defensive measures, including the construction of trenches and minefields, are crucial preparations ahead of an anticipated Russian offensive. A U.S. defense official, speaking on the condition of anonymity, emphasized that the aid would empower Ukraine to better withstand ongoing Russian assaults, both on the front lines and in the air, enhancing the protection of both military personnel and civilians. However, time is of the essence, stressed the official. The urgency to act swiftly and decisively cannot be overstated. While the approval of the foreign aid package marks a significant moment for Ukraine, it was not without opposition, particularly from some House Republicans. Nevertheless, it represents a much-needed glimmer of hope for Ukraine's exhausted combat units, who have been vastly outmatched by Russian forces, facing a severe ammunition shortage and enduring relentless attacks. President Volodymyr Zelensky has characterized the long-awaited American aid as a crucial lifeline, underscoring the necessity for the promised resupply to arrive promptly to bolster Ukraine's chances of victory. Although Zelensky's office did not provide immediate comment for this report, it has acknowledged the formidable challenges confronting Ukraine's military. More than 2 years following President Vladimir Putin's full-scale invasion, Ukrainian forces have seen their initial battlefield momentum dwindle. Most U.S. officials interviewed for this report believe that Zelensky lacks a clear military strategy to reclaim the 20% of the country currently occupied by Russia. Despite Russia's substantial losses in troops, estimated at over 300,000 casualties, it maintains an edge in manpower and weaponry, consistently outpacing the West in artillery production. U.S. officials highlight Ukraine's efforts to bolster its military capabilities, including acquiring additional arms from Iran and North Korea to supplement its domestic industrial capacity. However, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan emphasized the time needed for Ukraine to recover from the setbacks caused by Congress's 6-month delay in providing assistance. Despite facing challenges, the Biden administration acknowledges Ukraine's achievements, particularly in defending vulnerable areas in the north and east, limiting Russian gains, and securing crucial commercial shipping lanes in the Black Sea. Moreover, Ukraine's ability to threaten Russia's hold on the occupied Crimea Peninsula is noted as a significant accomplishment. 2024 is portrayed as a defensive year for Ukraine, with an emphasis on leveraging new capabilities supplied by the West, such as long-range ATACMS missiles and upcoming deliveries of F-16 fighter jets. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced plans to allocate $6 billion in arms for Ukraine, including Patriot air defense missiles and counter-drone systems, though production timelines may be prolonged. The administration's approach to assisting Ukraine involves both immediate transfers of existing U.S. military stockpiles and long-term sustainment through purchase orders for weapons and ammunition. General Charles Q. Brown, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, views the approved funding package as pivotal for shaping Ukraine's future. With the congressional battle over, U.S. officials aim to address Ukraine's other pressing needs, particularly the mobilization of additional troops. Recent legislative measures in Ukraine have aimed to streamline conscription and lower the draft age, reflecting efforts to bolster the country's fighting force. Ukraine, with a population significantly smaller than Russia's, faces a pressing need to address its manpower shortage, a challenge exacerbated by the millions of military-aged men who fled the country following Putin's invasion. Rob Lee, a former U.S. Marine and expert on the Ukraine conflict, emphasizes the critical nature of this issue, warning that without addressing the manpower shortfall, the aid package alone will not resolve Ukraine's challenges. Kyiv has not disclosed the exact number of troops required for 2024 and 2025, with estimates ranging from several 100,000 to as high as 500,000. The political implications of mobilizing such numbers are significant for President Zelensky, who must balance the need for military strength with maintaining national unity amidst the ongoing conflict. Ukraine's struggle to mobilize sufficient forces underscores the delicate nature of discussions between the Biden administration and Kyiv regarding the country's personnel gap. While acknowledging the challenges, U.S. officials stress the importance of inspiring more Ukrainian men to join the front lines while respecting Ukraine's sovereignty in decision-making. Behind the scenes, there are concerns that Zelensky's announcement of 31,000 military casualties since 2022 may downplay the true toll of the war. This disclosure, which was previously undisclosed, may have been strategically presented to avoid further impacting recruitment efforts. While acknowledging the need for more manpower, Ukrainian lawmakers believe the situation has not yet reached a critical point. Challenges in mobilization efforts include uncertainties regarding the duration of combat tours, dissatisfaction with low pay, and concerns over the government's support for the families of those killed or wounded. Troops are hesitant to commit without clarity on deployment timelines and assurances of adequate care for their loved ones. According to Lee, Ukraine's ability to recruit and train new soldiers swiftly is crucial for regaining momentum. Effective training is vital to avoid the pitfalls encountered during the failed offensive of the previous year. Balancing the need for immediate reinforcements with long-term sustainability is essential for Ukraine's military strategy moving forward. Lee emphasizes the critical importance of addressing Ukraine's manpower and mobilization challenges promptly, warning that prolonged delays decrease the likelihood of a large-scale offensive in 2025. The U.S. military's training program for Ukrainian troops, primarily conducted in Europe, has encountered slowdowns, indicating a depletion in the personnel pipeline. Officials note that the last brigade trained in Germany was in January or February, signaling potential disruptions in the training schedule. Poland, a staunch supporter of Ukraine and a key transit point for U.S. aid, shares concerns about Ukraine's manpower situation. Major Gen. Krzysztof Nalbert, Poland's defense attaché in Washington, underscores the urgency of renewing Ukrainian forces and fulfilling promised arms deliveries, highlighting the critical role of troop reconstitution in determining success against Russian forces. Despite relying on poorly trained troops, Russia has significantly bolstered its weapons production in recent months, posing a formidable challenge to Ukraine's forces. U.S. officials acknowledge that Russian troops have adapted on the battlefield, underscoring the need for Ukraine to strengthen its physical defenses ahead of an anticipated offensive. While Ukrainian forces have made efforts to fortify their positions over the past year, U.S. officials believe more extensive measures are necessary. The inclusion of anti-tank and anti-personnel mines in recent arms packages aims to bolster Ukraine's defensive capabilities. Although mounting a major offensive may be challenging, U.S. officials remain hopeful that Ukraine can reclaim smaller pockets of Russian-controlled territory in 2024. Despite the prolonged conflict, Russia has struggled to exploit Ukrainian weaknesses significantly. As the Biden administration prepares to host a summit marking NATO's 75th anniversary in July, discussions about Ukraine's future within the alliance intensify. While Ukraine's immediate NATO membership is unlikely, advocates in Congress, such as Sens. Jeanne Shaheen and Tom Tillis, urged President Biden to offer a realistic path to membership once Ukraine meets the alliance's criteria. They emphasize sending a clear message to Putin that Ukraine's future lies with Europe.